necessarily those of CNS Channel 6.
Guyana, full of resources, undoubtedly the potential breadbasket of the Caribbean, a country where academic excellence, standards, and foreign policy were beyond comparison in this part of the world. Today, unfortunately, the same cannot be said. Disasters are frequent, corruption is rampant, workers are dissatisfied, the cost of living and of basic utilities seems beyond the reach of the poor. School children are fighting for better educational facilities and system, while the suffering of the poor continues. However, the leader of the Justice for All Party, C.N. Sharma, provides an opportunity for these problems to be highlighted. He traversed this country and will continue to do so to places where no other political leader goes, places where people suffer on a daily basis, places that to other leaders seems not to exist, places where the people's voices are important, a voice crying out for help, a voice that can foster change, the voice of reality, so powerful, the voice of the people.
Good afternoon. Today is Saturday, March the 2nd, 2019. And before we proceed on to the voice of the people, we have a program with the Ethnic Relations Commission. With us today are the Commissioner Roshan Khan, we have Commissioner Witter, and Mr. Chester, who is also the head public education and awareness of the Ethnic Relations Commission. And there, as you know, the Ethnic Relations Commission, as mandated by the Constitution, is mandated by the Constitution to promote harmony and good relations. And we know we very much appreciate what they're doing, the work they've been doing under the leadership of Reverend, I think he's Bishop now, Smith. And they're here to promote harmony, peace, harmony, good relations, and unity among the people. And so we will call firstly on Mr. Khan to speak about the role of the ERC in Guyana. He'll give you the opening remarks.
A very good afternoon, and peace and blessings of God be with the nation Guyana, peace, harmony, and joy to the entire nation. The genesis of the Ethnic Relations Commission dates back to 1998 in the signing of the Hermanston Accord by the then President Janet Jagan and the then leader of the opposition, former President Hugh Desmond Hoyt. ERC is an independent constitutional body with a mandate to promote harmony and good relations. This reform body was agreed to by all parties in Parliament, at the time paving the way for improved race relations among the citizens of Guyana. The ERC was established in March 8, 2002, but following a 7-year hiatus or absence due to budgetary constraints, the Commission was officially reconstituted by President David Arthur Granger on February 22, 2018, with the swearing in of 10 new commissioners. What do we do at the ERC? What we do is inherent in Article 212D of the Constitution, which identifies 24 functions. These functions are realized under our 3 main units: public education and awareness, media monitoring and investigation. Function 2, most important of all, that encapsulates the entire power and the responsibilities of the ERC is Function 2 really provides an overview of why we exist, and that is to promote the elimination of all forms of discrimination on the basis of ethnicity. And if you have complaints and you have problems and you have situations, our brother, in time when he's called upon, Randy Chester, will tell you how you could do that, the methodology to do that. So basically, those are my intro remarks as to what the ERC basically is all about. Mr. Moderator, yes, my brother, Sankey.
Thank you very much. And I think we're going to have a contribution now by Commissioner Witter, who is going to speak about the local trade union movement and how it relates with the Commission and how they help the Commission to realize its mandate.
Thank you very much, moderator, Mr. Sankey. I recognize Brother Sharma next to you on your left. And good afternoon to the viewing public. First of all, I think I want to preface what I have to say by making this statement. No man is infallible. All men, and when I say men, I include women also, make mistakes from time to time.
Yes, yes.
Right? It is when we accept and acknowledge the mistakes made, that is what makes us great. But it takes courage for us to do that. Right? Now, the question you've asked me, it is important I put it within context. Because as the first speaker said, that the mandate of the Ethnic Relations Commission is to promote harmony and good relations, but not any kind of harmony and good relations. It is harmony and good relations between and among the ethnic groups. Right? And the question arises, how many ethnic groups do we have? Well, different persons will tell you different things. You understand? As a matter of fact, you, moderator, may say that you belong to 8 ethnic groups. Who will doubt you?
Exactly.
So the jury is still out in relation to how many ethnic groups, apart from the 6 that we sometimes make reference to, African, Indian, so on and so on, right? Yeah. Now, what value does the labor movement brings to the Ethnic Relations Commission? We must first, however, acknowledge that they are ethnic challenges. Because if they were not ethnic challenges, they would not have been in need for a commission in the first instance, right? The reality is that, or the fact is, that we have citizens of Guyana of different ethnicity. That's a fact, right? And that's natural. But that fact in itself ought not to be any reason for us to devalue each other on the grounds of ethnicity, for us to discriminate, for us to have distrust, right? For us to demonize, right? For us to stereotype because we look different. I look out like an African, you look like an Indian, you look like a Chinese, Portuguese, Amerindian, or the indigenous people. And you look like
you got Douglas,
right? But those physical differences, characteristics, and different cultures, right, ought not to be any reason for us to demean each other, for us to value one ethnic group less than the other. So we have to start from the basis that each and every one of us, right, has equal value, equal value. And once we agree to that, then it goes to see that we need to treat each other with mutual respect and regard, right? Now, coming back to what can the labor movement do to enhance the work of the Ethnic Relations Commission. We first need to recognize that the labor movement is a class movement. It's a movement of the working class, right? Unlike many other organizations, right? Now, to put in context again, when the original People's Progressive Party was formed in 1950, it was seen as a working class mass movement, right? Why? Because the leader, the main leaders of the original PPP, which was Chetty Jagan, leader, Bonham, chairman, they came from the working class organization. They came from the labor movement. Bonham from the GLU, Chetty Jagan from what is now known as GAU. You understand? Yeah. So they brought together that broad working class mass together under this umbrella that was called the PVP. Two labor leaders, you understand? Unfortunately, while most of our ethnic challenges predated independence, because this whole thing started with the so-called colonial masters. Yeah. Yeah? Because we all came here because of the greed of the colonial masters, you know. Of course. Right? And in order to control us, what they did, they devised a strategy of divide and conquer, divide and rule, set one against the other, right? To achieve their own ends, economics. You understand? However, when we had the formation of that force, original PVP with Bonham and Jigon, we were able to mend the differences that the colonial masters created. Bonham and Jigon were able to do that under that umbrella. Unfortunately, because of internal differences and etc., there was a split between these two leaders, Jigon and Bonham. And unfortunately, again, with that split, you had a section of the population, largely the African Guyanese, going with Bonham, and then you had the Indo-Guyanese stay with Jigon. So that we had a split there, right? But the split became pronounced in 1957 or thereabout, right? Now, it is that split that created, because, you see, because these two groups are of large numbers, the temptation was always there to mobilize around ethnicity and so on, right? And that you will find that a large number of portions of Indian descent will still support the PP, large number of African descent will support the APNU, which is up to now. Yeah. Now, where does the labor movement come in? The labor movement from its inception has always been, as I said, a class-oriented movement, a movement of the working class, right? And struggling against exploitation from the capitalist class, right, the employer class. Now, because of the nature of the labor movement, in essence, it is a unifier. Because who comprises the working class? The working class is comprised of portions across politics, across religion, across creed, across sex, across age, everybody. You know? So we are naturally a unifier. But more than that, the labor movement in Guyana, as it is at the moment, can be found in every nook and cranny of Guyana. So we have logistical value, and then we have value as being a great unifier by our very nature.
Yeah. Do we have an instance of this where the labor movement is contributing in the protests that have been made by the two umbrella unions, TUC and FITU? Do you think with this Russell?
Well, the strength of
you think that helps?
The strength of the labor movement rests in one word: solidarity. Yeah. Right. And obviously, if one member, because we see ourselves as a fraternity, brothers and sisters of the movement. Yeah. So if one person is affected, all are affected, right? So we are all on board. However, I think there's another program after where this whole issue about Rusal will be dealt with.
Yeah, will be dealt with.
And I'm happy to sit on that program too.
Okay. Then, so we next have the ERC's Harmony campaign, the launch of the posters, etc. Mr. Chester is going to be introducing this element in the discussion. Yes.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen, and good afternoon to everyone again. Several weeks ago in January, we had our Harmony launch. After a long 7-year hiatus, as my brother mentioned, we're back, and we basically are using these campaigns as a way to interact with the general populace and let them know this is the way that we should be thinking, this is the way that we should be acting, and so on. Within that Harmony campaign, we had several posters that we launched, and these posters are in its distribution state as it is. We have started distributing to different schools and workplaces throughout Guyana. We recently, as of last week, we were in Bartica, and we actually met with the chairman of the RDC, and we met with the mayor, we met with several stakeholders and so on, and also the Bartica Hospital, where we did some engagement. And so we've been distributing these posters within schools and also within workplaces. We also launched several public service announcements, about 5 of them. Within that 5, we had Shedding Prejudice, we had Working Together, but these, I can say I'm proud of it because these concepts came about within our subcommittee at the ERC. We sat down together, we brainstormed on what ways can we be able to put together nifty messages through these PSAs that persons can be able to join the ERC's efforts to spread it around. I can say that we are overwhelmed by the responses of these PSAs. People have been sharing it throughout social media. People have been calling us and want to be a part of ERC's movement, and that in itself is a testimony that we are on the right track. Whatever we're doing, it's making an impact on people. We also had our Harmony song, Let Harmony Come In. And that song was composed by Mr. Birchmore Simon and co-written between himself and our very own Commissioner Nias Saban. But that song in itself also is how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to behave. Later down in this year, we're going to also do a video for that song. So we have that song out. But more importantly, next weekend, we have the play.
Yes.
We have the play. We have the I Am a Stage play. And, I was talking to Commissioner Witter only yesterday. And, the 9th and the 10th, the play is at the National Culture Center. And I can say to you, without a shadow of a doubt, that those tickets have been exhausted. And it's a testimony to the Guyanese people that, normally they gravitate to this type of uncensored kind of shows and so on, and comedy and so on. Yeah. But this play here, it's a play that really, the premise of the play lies between 2 families, one of Indo and one of Afro descent. And, they got along so well together as neighbors. And until you have politics coming up and so on. An event. An event.
Don't give it out.
Right? An event. So, all of that came in and, came into play. And so you had a whole lot of back and forth happening and so on. But the play really tells you that, we need to have a conversation. If we want to address the racial issues of Guyana, we need to have a conversation. We need to talk to each other. And that's the only way we can be able to move forward.
That's next Saturday and Sunday.
That's next Saturday and Sunday, the National Culture Center at 7. At 7.
7.
And as I mentioned, the tickets are already exhausted. We're overwhelmed by the response that we got from the Guyanese. At this time is really for us to encourage those who have already garnered those tickets to say, show up, be there. You will not miss. You will not want to miss this opportunity to be a part of the I Am a Stage play. And we thought at the Ethnic Relations Commission that we cannot want to have persons join us to promote harmony and good relations and attach a cost to it. So we had to make it a free event so that people would want to come out and be a part of that and so on. Yeah. And that is the Ethnic Relations Commission gift to the Guyanese people, to come out to enjoy a show that reflects who we are as Guyanese people and what is happening in our society and how we can be able to work together to resolve our differences and build our tolerance for each
Absolutely.
other.
Yeah.
Right?
So what other continuous engagements you're going to have with the schools and countrywide? What are your plans there?
Well, from what I know, we planned, a suggestion came out when we were in Bartica the other day, to take this show to Bartica, because the Barticians can't come. Yeah. And therefore now it's gone to a higher level to take it to various major centers in the country. So the people can get to see this show, which will very well impress on unity, harmony, goodwill, cooperating, overseeing that racial prejudices or religious prejudices that we might be having. One little suggestion I wanted to make is that if anybody can't make it for some reason, give the ticket to somebody else.
Yes,
Please.
yes,
A lot of people sometimes want to go because of job, responsibility, emergencies, they can't make it. Give it to somebody to go.
So they're going to go to all the regions then?
The aim is to do that.
Yes.
That we are working on that at the moment. Right now we are working on, we promised ticker because the Bartitians showed a tremendous interest in it, but I'm pretty sure everywhere will want to see
Yes.
this show.
Roger, go find the finances of project. Go find financing.
Well, it's the Ethics Relations Commission. We have a budget.
You have a budget.
We have a budget by
Yeah.
which we are operating, and once our budget was seriously slashed, we are still trying to fulfill the mandate which is enshrined in the Constitution and with our responsibilities. So these are some of the things we are doing to really create impact, unity, harmony, and goodwill. You got to remember, we must overcome your unilateral thoughts and thinking me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
And we have got to start thinking us.
Yes.
You know, we.
And you're having
This is
donors.
the aim of it all. Overcoming insularity and building on unity, harmony, and goodwill. And I
Yeah.
can tell you what, all the commissioners, 10 commissioners, you know, different groups, different race, political groups, race groups, not political groups, race groups, different people, society, religions, and we are working together in harmony. We have learned very quickly to realize our responsibilities and are working to create that harmony, that nexus that is missing of bringing the people together.
Good. Excellent.
So you have donations as well besides what is budgeted for? You have people donating anything towards ERC?
No, as was mentioned, ERC is an independent body.
Yeah.
And if we want to be able to effectively realize our mandate, then we are willing to work with any persons on an event and so on. But we get our funding from the consolidated funds, and we work our best. And if it is that we would have need any other funding, then we would approach the ministry with other projects to be able to
Something
get
has to be
funding
understood
and so
also.
on. Right?
The Ethnic Relations Commission is not under the control of any minister or
Okay.
any political leader or any political head. We are independent body. So we don't take directions from them. We listen to the people, their complaints, and we realize what is needed. We study, we realize what is needed, we create the atmosphere, and we take the messages out there. However, if it comes to donation, people's institutions, movies, cinemas, television stations who want radio stations, who want to play
Yes.
the video after the showing, we will make it available to them. Those who want the CD of this beautiful song, we should have brought one of that for you. I have to apologize for that. You should have had one of the CD to constantly play it so that it will get into the head of the people, because the messages resonate with goodwill and peace and harmony with a beautiful rhythm that will make you want to dance.
Okay, so what determines where you go? Besides the fact that Bartica called you, do you have a certain criteria you use to determine that you need to strategic plan or whatever it is?
Ethnic relations is everybody's business,
Yeah.
right? And the question of good ethnic relations has to be something that targets every single individual, young, the born, the unborn, and even the dead. You understand? So wherever Guyanese citizens are, right, we need to find some mechanism to reach them, to spread this message of ethnic harmony and good relations.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, it is like one bad apple could spoil the whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yes, sir? So if there is one person of society who we fail to get the message to in relation to practicing good ethnic relations and so on, that one person we fail to get the message to and has not been converted can create a cascading effect where all our work right, can be in vain. So,
So you plan to go into different communities like
Absolutely.
the quarantine, like Camarang. Say you go to Camarang and you send a notice before, so people from Jawala and Waramadong in the Amerindian areas will come down to Camarang and
yes, well, we have such a program. As a matter of fact, of the 10 regions, we have so far visited 7. We are yet to visit 3 other regions,
Yes.
meeting with different stakeholders and so on.
And then they're very organized. They are expecting us. They know we are going.
Yeah.
So we don't just meet with the chairman alone.
No,
we
no.
meet with the entire region,
Yeah.
management and administration.
Mr. Ram, I come, Sheriff, you come, Mr. Ram, come, Sheriff, you come, Sheriff, you come, come, please, come, bro. Please come, right, come. And Sheriff, your concern, come.
Yeah.
Come, you can stand.
Come, stand right, come, right there, come.
Roshan, can I do my
Roshi,
chair?
you come, man.
What about any feedback you've been
Yes,
getting?
yes.
Any feedback
Yes.
on how
Positivity.
effective you've been?
Tremendous positivity.
Yeah.
So, Major
Yeah.
Man, you want to handle it?
I want to stress on, Commissioner Witter would have mentioned that we have touched about 7 regions.
Yeah.
Last December, we were in Letem, the Letem area, and we went as far as in Conishin Guns, and that is an isolated area in Region 9. And we are prepared to go throughout the length and breadth. This month, we're going to be going into Region 8. And next month, we're going to be going to Region 6, and then later on in this year, we're going to be going to Region 1. So, we understand that in order for us to be able to be effective at what we're doing at ERC, we need to be able to engage people at the grassroots level. We know that we're centralized in Georgetown, and a lot of our engagements, the common theme coming out from that is that, they would like to have a physical group in every region. And so what we've been doing is that we have been getting a number of persons inboxing us and calling us and saying that they want to be a part of our movement. And we've been taking those information. And so we will formalize a number of syndicates throughout the different regions.
Mr. Ram, much coverage you're going to give?
Thanks, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma and all the commissioners here and our friend moderator. This idea came from the United Kingdom. They have what is called a Race Relations Council. In fact, one of our Guyanese patriots, Mr. Abrams, was the chairman of this body. So it came
In England.
from England.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we have these our commissioners here, because this is a good opportunity, and Mr. Sharma has granted the CRE.
ERC.
ERC. I get a bit confused with the name because I'm accustomed to the Race Relations. I'm accustomed to the Race Relations Council of England.
Okay, Mr. England, man.
But this is a great opportunity to allow our brothers to. Where are our sisters? We don't have any sisters.
No, we have sisters.
do.
We have sisters, but they
Next
can't be
time
everywhere.
we must bring our sisters.
It depends. They have programs that they'll be, all the programs they'll be
Our
going to.
sisters are, with great respect, the best promoters of race relations.
That's true,
Believe
that's
me.
true.
Because they touch your heart, and all of us know the power of women. But we here on our program, which we will have later on, that is our duty and responsibility to be able to bring about racial harmony and goodwill to our people. Mr. Sharma must become complimented, and I think you guys should consider giving him a Peace Award for the harmony that he has brought to this country. He has a very, very wide, and Mr. Witter can attest it because he comes to this program. He's one of the contributors. Mr. Sharma has been a trailblazer for unity in this country. He has brought people who have never had a voice in this country. He's given them a voice, and he should be complimented. I think that if I am going to make a contribution to today's discussion, I would suggest that you further decentralize the organization as that was done in England, and you regionalize it. So in each region, you have a committee where people can really participate and bring about real unity in their communities. One of the difficulties we're having, at the NDC level is to get on board, and this is what I think needs to happen. All the NDCs in our country and all the regions must accept and endorse the ethos, the code of practice, and whatever there is needs to be done.
But you don't want it to get politicized.
No, but there's a mistake that we always make. Politics is life. And people what is happening is that the politics have got dirty. And that is what we need to take out of it. Because when you look at other countries where this type of structure has been set up to bring about racial harmony, you have to involve your member of parliament. You have to involve your council, because these are the people who actually implement the day-to-day service, and this council has to ensure that the services are delivered equally, justly, and fairly,
And
so that everybody benefits from it.
But you don't take directions from any
No, the
political-
ERC
No, they
is
don't
an
take-
independent commission.
That's right.
And I think the Ministry of the Presidency has a Department of Social Cohesion that they are working, some of the same trend that we
I
have.
was going to.
So I just want you, but the ERC is
yes.
non-political.
No.
But we will speak to everyone.
But they have a duty and responsibility, if my memory serves me right, to actually penalize people who discriminate.
Of course.
I agree with
Right.
that. I agree with
And
that.
that's what
I agree with that.
that's what
We can
I'm-
suspend, a lot of people don't know this, we can suspend the political party too,
Yeah.
Exactly.
if they should show
Exactly.
discrimination for
Yeah.
race or religion.
Yes. So when people say it is not political, it is, in the sense that it monitors what governments do and what statutory bodies do in the interest of the ordinary person. And I hope that you all take that step, that big step, to monitor a lot of these organizations, whether it be private. How do we know that these guys are discriminating against people, not employing these private organizations or government organizations, not employing people? Do we need to check the applications that they get and whether they're interviewing them and so on? These are things that needs to happen.
Okay.
And this is the purpose of this body.
Okay, let me get to final conflict with everybody. Final comment, please. Final comment.
Commissioner.
From you,
Yeah.
final comment.
Yeah, final comment.
The future of Guyana inevitably will depend on our capacity to manage our ethnic relations.
The people of Guyana must understand this, what we are working with the ERC and any other institution of peace and goodwill, that we have to overcome this idea of color superiority or color enhancement and division, the walls that divide us, and break those walls. That man, as Martin Luther King said, and many other prophets and sages, man cannot be judged by the color of the skin, but the contents of their character. And that is basically the philosophy and the wisdom of the ERC.
My brother, next final comment, please.
I just want to encourage persons to come out to the IMS stage play that would have already got their tickets from the National Culture Center. Again, it's March 9th and 10th at the National Culture Center. It starts at 7. And as our dear Commissioner Khan said, if you can't make it, I think that you should give it to someone else that they can be able to come. I want to stress that it's a safe, the play is blunt, it's honest, and it's unifying. This was also written by Nias Saban and directed by him. But, you know, the ERC wanted to have such a play that we can be able to come together and have a conversation. The climax of or the environment or atmosphere on March 9th and 10th will be one that is a safe zone that you can be able to come and feel safe to be able. And I want to stress that for you be able to know everything about ERC, to follow us, you can go on our website. It's www.erc.org.gy. You can follow us there, and also you can download our My ERC app. It's a mobile app that allows you to be able to send any complaints that you might have, or you can call us, or you can visit our office at 66 Peter Rose and Irish Street, Queenstown, Georgia.
May Sandy, your closing remarks.
Yes, and we are very impressed with how the new ERC has been approaching its work
Yeah.
under the leadership of Bishop Smith. And, you know, we wish them all the best because this is very important what they're doing. They're trying to promote love, harmony, and unity in the country. And they should be commended for this. And but we have a thank you message now.
I'd like to say on behalf of the Ethnic Relations Commission, a very special thank you to Mr. C.N. Sharma for making all of this possible at his famous television station of Channel 6. Mr. Sharma, on behalf of the chairman, Reverend Dr. Bishop Oswald Smith, Deputy Chair Donald McLean, and all the 10 commissioners and the CEO of the Ethnic Relations Commission to say thank you very much from the depths of our heart for having us here. And at least it shows that you are a man of the people, a man who cares about unity and goodwill of this
Thank you
country.
very much.
A round of applause for this great gentleman, please.
We are playing with the sound.
And of course, the viewing public, we wish to say thank you for joining with us. And join us at the National Culture Center on the 9th and the 10th. God bless you all.
Get the sound, get the sound.
God bless you all.
Get a special sound to the Ethnic Relations. Get the sound. Okay,
Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. We want all enmity to cease, for we want peace, we all want peace. We want no hate, we want no strife, since we were born for love and life. Come, let us chant while joining hands. We shall not rest till wars are done. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. We have met here to dream and build. We want our dreams to be fulfilled. We have come here to dream and plan a world of joy and hope for man. A world his dignity demands, a world that we shall see begun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. We want all enmity to cease, for we want peace, we all want peace. We want no hate, we want no strife, since we were born for love and life. Come, let us chant while joining hands. We shall not rest till wars are done. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. We have met here to dream and build. We want our dreams to be fulfilled. We have come here to dream and plan a world of joy and hope for man. A world his dignity demands, a world that we shall see begun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one.
Live. Clear.
Vice Chair, object to the object.
Yes,
objective.
yesterday, Saturday, the second day of March 2019, and on our agenda today, firstly, dual citizenship, two, love and unity among people, and we saw an example with the ERC, noise nuisance, lawlessness in our society, corruption, victimization, rum shop, rice, the sugar industry, crime, the destitute, cost of living, vandalism of property, and GCOM elections. And of course, RUSAL. We'll be looking at RUSAL as well.
Mr. Green, thank you for being in the program. Thank you very much, right?
Thank you, my pleasure.
Ram, thank you. You thank you. If you, the minutes can be here next couple of minutes. Next couple of minutes, please. Start the program right away now. Start the program right away.
Yes, yeah. So we are, the main issue seems to be the
Left out the corruption, to the corruption.
oh yes, yes.
Corruption.
Corruption,
Very
corruption
important.
is very widespread.
Very widespread. Disease.
And we see further charges have been instituted against those people responsible for Parderville too, right? And rural connected with that. But besides that too, we have the elections, which were scheduled to be in March after the no confidence vote. So we will be looking at that, and we will be looking at RUSAL, how the main people from Russia have shown little or no respect for our workers here. But one good thing came out of it: the unity between the TUC and FITUG, the two umbrella unions. They came together to fight against discrimination against the workers.
Rama did corruption.
Yeah,
Corruption too.
yes, Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
I think, as I said earlier in the program from the Ethnic Relations
Yes.
Council, I'm sorry, Mr. Green missed it.
Okay.
But what this show is that it is a functioning government.
Okay.
Because for 7 years,
Yes.
we have not had this statutory body to function, to bring about what is called unity of the people, of the 6 races. Some people say 7 now. And the president, in his quest for calling for unity, in this booklet,
Yes.
there are 2 volumes of it, Handbook for Councillors of Municipalities and Neighborhood, Volume 1. And this is what I just read, just a paragraph of what the president in his introduction said. He said local government organs of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana should embody 3 principal political characteristics. They should be representative, inclusive, and effectiveness. That is why I said that when people say that this thing is not political, it is, because these are statutory bodies, the Ethnic Relations Council, that is supposed to ensure that what the president is talking about, that those things are concretized, that people really are treated fairly, they're treated justly, and they're treated equally.
Oh.
And the Justice for All Party stands for that.
That's true.
It stands for that, and it's been saying it over and over again. People may not like that. They may not like the images that they see that you bring to the television about people's destitution, their poverty, the plight of the people, the destruction of their properties by people in authority, people who think they have power over the last 15 years that you've been doing this. You have graphically showed this. Look, there's a lady who has a problem. She comes to you. She don't go to no other stations in this country. And people who are looking here and abroad have recognized that.
Mr. President, what the Russian position?
Russell?
Yes. Tell me what position.
It's an absurdity.
Yeah.
And one must remember that Russell got its wings during the regime of the PPP. We don't know what constitute the agreements, written or oral, private or public. But it's clear these persons have some degree of confidence that they can run roughshod over Guyanese.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Fetug, who was part of the cabal of the PPP, seems to have now caught themselves. The situation is so bad. They've now joined with the TUC against Russell. I hope that the government will take swift and condign action. So we send a message to others, yes, we want investment, but it must not be at the sacrifice of the dignity of our people as they exploit our resources. Perhaps it's a good time for me to remember that and to remind the public that March is a significant time for us in Guyana. In 1957, Ghana got its independence, the first sub-Saharan country in Africa to gain its freedom from the colonial powers. And we celebrate that in another few days. There's a ceremony at Congress Place at noon tomorrow. I wish to invite all people to attend. There's a mistaken notion that Ghana Day has to do with Afro-Guyanese or Africans.
Okay.
Ghana Day is a departure from the colonial system which existed since the turn of the century, when people like Padmore and them had a conference in London and talked about Pan-Africanism. So that I invite all people, irrespective of ethnic relations, ethnic complexion, to come to Congress Place tomorrow at noon as they celebrate Ghana Day.
Carter, hello? Hello, Carter, hello?
Could I make a comment on? Could I make a comment on
go ahead, please.
What Mr. Green said? He's absolutely right. People do not recognize that the Pan-Africanist movement was a leading force for the decolonization of countries that were colonized. And C.L.R. James and Padmore were leading figures in this fight for liberation.
Call you there. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Shama, this is my opinion.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Mr. Hampton Green?
You have to
Yes.
speak up, man.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, because we I can't hear you.
Yeah, so Mr. Hampton Green?
Yes, go ahead, please. Yes.
At least he was Prime Minister back in Bonham Day.
Yes.
He was the
Yeah.
mayor.
I'm not hearing you.
Yes.
You know, I'm glad that he just don't know and give other people a chance and so on and live his normal life. And right now,
He had just already. He's not in the party anymore.
I know, and right now I'm glad this country could come up to be a dictator country. Let one man rule this country all the time.
Why you say that?
Yeah, because I seen that is what is coming to me.
No. That's not true. That's not true.
Look at them, all them other countries that have oil around us, people are punishing. And this country getting oil, we got punish more worse than ours.
You're not taking right. You're not taking right. That.
Tell you, I'm telling
Okay,
you.
bye.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
Call it on here, please. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Sherman,
Yeah.
how are you?
Yeah, it's not bad.
You know, I've been looking at the program for the longest while.
Yeah.
How many years?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But recently I started calling in.
Yes.
But I know people been talking politics and all.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing people talking about God, who's the source of our life and of our life and our life and the life,
Okay.
right? You know, in all circumstances, we need to seek His face for wisdom, guidance in whatever
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma, I want to thank you.
Yes.
You have brought light into the
Yeah,
darkness,
yeah.
and you must continue your good work.
Yes.
I'm Mr.
I will.
You, Mr. Jaipal Sharma, people should take a page out of his book. He looked beyond race or political affiliation, and he handled issues. You have displayed very broad-mindedness, and you're so much bigger than the people who have hurt you. And people would say, Mr. Sharma, don't do this and don't do that. But you have extended kindness towards people, right? And we know people who are godly by their speech and the way they act and the way they live. You know, our actions tell us, or what you do tells us whatever is in your heart, you know. You know, the ERC was there, but I don't know if they're monitoring programs. But I have been listening to programs for the longest while. All the programs I listen to.
Yes.
All the channels, because I have the time to do that.
Yes.
And I'm so disappointed when I see people who are supposed to be leaders, who be role models, or on TV saying the ugliest thing about people. I've heard people saying black people, they're thieves, they're parasites, they're delusional. I'm hearing other people saying Indian people are sharks. They're Hindus, are racist, and they hate black people. Okay. I don't know if the ERC are monitoring all of this.
You're working to have monitoring. That's right, monitoring. Yeah.
And, you know, if it was on your program, they would want to shut down your program.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, people need to stop this narrow-mindedness and this sick mind. You know, recently I traveled with a bus 2 days ago. And a woman came out to the bus, and from her address, and the way she dressed, she was a police officer.
Yes.
And she came out to this bus on Wellington Street, and she was cursing, and she was performing out on the road.
Okay.
So when I joined the bus, I asked what was her problem. He said 2 persons were sitting in the bus, and the people were talking about what they went through for the day, and did they not get through their business and so on. People minding their own business. And she came out, and she started cursing the people.
Oh,
right?
my.
Now, you find during this time, people are what? They're hurting, they're bitter. But when we're hurting and we're bitter, we need to seek help. God's help and help elsewhere.
Yeah.
When these hurts and these bitterness festered, it's manifesting a sick and unstable mind. That's why you have people shooting people and doing all kinds of things. Right? But then leaders and other people who the ones who were causing all of this to happen. We got to provide wisdom, truth, and honesty and love to people.
Yeah.
And people are not responsible for their actions. And for their race, or they're responsible for their actions, right? So sometimes before we target a group, or we pick up people and we want to mind, we must do introspection and retrospection of our journey and the way we treat people. We cannot discriminate and oppress people and think, I know, everything is The bottom line, I'm a Christian, and my father was a pastor, and I speak all the time. If people believe in the word,
Thank you very much.
will expose all wickedness.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
All oppression, all victimization, all discrimination. In this time, we have wolves in sheep's clothing.
Okay. Yes.
We have counterfeit people.
Okay.
People whose intention is only about self-gratification.
Okay.
It's not about service to the people.
Okay. Thank
all
you very
that
much.
will be exposed. So at this point in time, I
Yeah.
ask people to pray.
Okay.
Ask guidance,
Pray. Let her pray. Yes.
Pray for God
Okay.
to give guidance
Yeah.
in whatever situation.
Okay.
Let's just stop this narrow-mindedness
Okay.
and this sick behavior of targeting people because of their race.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mama, this is please come forward. Please come forward. What is your name?
My name is Janet Luster.
Where you live?
I live at 550 Crane Housing Scheme.
What occupation?
Self-employed.
Okay. Tell me what you brought here. What brought you here?
My nephew
Yeah.
get killed in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
This is the murderer.
Yeah.
What killed him?
Murder?
Yes. And this is he lie down here.
Okay.
And we are seeking for justice because we need the body to come home to Guyana, and my sister don't have the finance to bring she and she 2 children in Guyana.
When did the murder take place?
The murder took place Sunday.
Last
in
Sunday?
St. Lucia. Sunday it gone.
Have you been in touch with the High Commission in Trinidad and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in touch with the Foreign Affairs.
Sorry, no. Did you go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Guyana?
No, I didn't go there.
Well, that's the first thing you should do. And ask him to get in touch with the High Commission in Trinidad who covers St. Lucia, and they will follow up to see what are the possibilities.
Okay, and that is where it is?
Ministry of Foreign Affairs is near the office of the President.
Okay.
Anybody can show you. Go and ask the protocol section and tell them what your story is. But a week is a long time. Has the body been buried?
No, we want to bring him home.
Yes. You want to bring him home?
Yeah, because we don't have no family in St. Lucia, but he more than 2 sisters.
Well, you know, when people migrate, they've got to make a decision.
Yeah. Well, what caused it, first?
How he's dressed?
Yes.
The guys them can't take, it's a group of them, a gang. And one of them is who take the blame. That is this one here.
Yeah.
He take the blame for the killing.
Okay. Okay. Before I close, what you guys would like to see now?
I would like to say to the public that we need justice. We need this young man is to get sentenced or something, because an innocent young man he killed, Michael Puran, never troubled nobody, never had a police story, he's 27. He think nothing could bother him. He always got a smile upon his face, no matter what you tell him.
He had any crime?
No, he never did no crime. He never had a police story. He know what bruising nobody, trouble nobody, nothing.
Yeah.
And we seeking for justice because we need it to come home to Guyana. We need justice.
So what do you want? Need money for bring him back?
Money to bring him to Guyana.
How much cash bring it back?
Well, I do the photo, the thing, but I have to it on the phone. My nephew have it too. I will come back.
Yes.
And bring it.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going into the, as former Prime Minister mentioned, you need to go into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They will be able to, because they look after Guyanese regardless of where they are, and they'll be able to tell you the procedure, how to.
This is a weird member of the public. Thank you very much. Be seated here.
All right.
Thank you very much.
But going back to the discrimination that the lady spoke about here, on basis, the Ethnic Relations Commission was here just now, and they said they're empowered to suspend political parties too that encourage racial or religious discrimination. And according to the minister within the presidency, Joseph Harmon, that I think he hinted that opposition leader Jagdeo might have sort of the way he spoke about President Granger and the letters that he sent to the Elections Commission and the way he spoke about him, it was tantamount to some kind of religious discrimination against Christianity too. So maybe they need to look into that.
Okay, that's true. Colin, hello, Colin, hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
It means I just arrived.
Why?
Yes.
Why have we always have to bar Jagdeo? He did not do nothing to nations. What the government did to this country is destroy all the king countries, them out the jobs. And you have to down there talking nonsense. Eh? What is wrong with your people?
Yes.
No,
Mr. Sharma, could I answer you?
Yes.
Could I answer you? Look, the PPP received $348 billion from the European Union for funding for sugar from 2006 to 2013. That is the question that needs to be answered. They, as Mr. Green said a couple of months ago, he said that the monies were given to them with the understanding that they will diversify, that they will look into sugar and say, look, this thing can't be, and we need to do something about it. But what the question is, what did Jagdev do? In fact, instead of him looking seriously at or diversification of the sugar industry, finding ways of finding new employment for younger sugar workers, he did nothing. In fact, he tried to expand the sugar industry by setting up Skeldon, which is a fiasco. And he has not. He promised at the last election that he was going to fix it. He was going to fix it. If he knew how to fix it, why doesn't he say, as a Guyanese, as a responsible person, how he would have fixed it? That is the question that they need to answer.
Wait about Russell problem. Russell. Yeah.
Well, the government is looking at it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to allow them to look at it. But Russell himself is expanding and will be taking on additional workers. So, you know, they lay off persons and, of course, they're expanding. And, you know, in general, any business is in there for a profit, to make a profit. And they need cooperation from the workforce also. At the same time, the employers need to respect the labor laws. So it's not an easy question. It's something that call for a lot of dialogue. And what I'm saying to the people, the viewers and listeners, that this dialogue is continuing as we speak.
Caller, hello.
Hello, Mr. Sharma.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, go ahead to the panel.
Yes.
I should come out for this Jagdev thing and let me get to the election, man.
Yeah.
I just want to strip this whole day, man.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We shouldn't get off Jagdev making himself a comic. Look,
Okay.
Mr. Harman responded to him. I think we need to read this, what Mr. Harman says. It's quite appropriate. Mr. Jagdev was written to by the president. And hear what Mr. Harman said. He said, one would expect that under the normal decency and by virtue of democratic behavior, the leader of the opposition would respond to the president indicating whether he would attend that meeting or not, but not to hear in the media that he has said that he is not attending. Mr. Harman is absolutely right. And what Guy Paul said earlier, he has to have respect for the protocol. The president has written to him as a leader of the opposition being paid by taxpayers. He needs to write back to the president and say, look, I'm not going to come to the meeting, or I will come, or set conditions whether he must come or not. He cannot disrespect the Guyanese people, the taxpayers of this country.
It's unbelievable that he's going to react in such a way. He was also a former president for 12 years.
Exactly.
And so he knows the protocol. He's not ignorant. And that is total disrespect to the sitting president. And as I pass, also referring to his actions, the president's actions, as being fraudulent.
Yes.
And he's the one is before the court.
That's liable.
And his,
you know
and,
that?
yes, and
Yes,
his,
he's the one before
foreign
the court,
ministers
yes.
for fraudulent activity.
Yeah.
So he just want to, felt more in the president's direction.
Okay. Mr. Green, what's your comment?
I think we must compliment Dr. Jagdev. He's very good at manipulating the media, section of the media, and you have to give him full marks for that. The other side needs to up their propaganda machinery, because he's before the media with half-truths, inappropriate statements.
And lies.
Well, I said
Blatant
half-truths.
lies.
And one has to be careful not to be sucked in by this propaganda blitz. It's a serious matter, because uncaring people, members of the PPP and supporters, will accept what he says hook, line, and sinker, and believe that he's speaking from a position of wisdom and truthfulness. And we need to look at it very carefully.
Even the ERC.
And I think we need also to speak to some sections of the media that they themselves must be balanced in their reporting. I find some sections of the media completely out of kilter and inconsistent with the norms of good reporting and journalism.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Sharma was closed down many times for things that ought not to be interfered with. And you have sections of the media who openly support the BBP. Their license needs to be taken away from them.
Hello, gentlemen. A pleasure.
Good afternoon.
And Mr. Jaipal,
Yes.
Mr. Green, Mr.
Yes.
Jarma, Mr. Sankey, I don't know everyone.
Could you raise your voice?
The other brother, anyhow.
Mr. Rahman.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow. I want to know if it got partiality in public mischief. If some people could do things, say things, and cause problem in the public, or we call public mischief, isn't the law in Parliament?
Can't tell how they can hear you properly, right?
Isn't it a law?
Yeah,
in
that's
Parliament?
no, here, that's right.
Mischief.
Yeah.
When you cause public mischief, and then wrong information and getting wrong, cite people in doing all kind of other things, isn't a law for that, Mr. Jaipal?
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Well, why we sit down and murmuring over these things when we get this law, or is it partial from minister and former and ordinary people in society? We are sending bad message to our citizens. You hear the caller before? Stop talking about Jack do, and get on with it. We got some people will never understand or can understand. And I was listening to Mr. Nigel Hughes and Mr. Enrico report in that interview.
That's true.
It is clearly what the brother is saying. Let this thing go to the CCG and let me see the outcome. And I believe we should stop. Got this program where people call in and give their opinion when should be election and when should be election. It's causing a lot of undermining. If the scheduled date pass and it unmaterialized, what next? That is my concern.
Hello.
Well, no, this is the question you need to pose to me, so, and this program here, I don't attend every program, but persons would call me and say, the hard persons in the program speak about the Constitution, they ask me for my opinion, I disagree, and so, we need to educate the people, so ask your questions about the Constitution, about anything.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Sharma. Good afternoon.
Yes.
I wish you were the president of this country, but anyhow, that's not the point. The point is when you wanted to be a politician, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to take constructive criticism. People might say things that you don't like, but you have to do what is right. You understand? We can't go back to 20 years, 25 years. We don't want to hear that. We want to hear what the president, whoever is in power. I don't give a hell who rules. I want to know what they can do, not for me now, I'm old. What they're going to do for my children and my grandchildren. This is not about color. This is not about hair. We didn't make ourselves. God made us. And we have to learn to accept whatever comes our way. Yes, but then again, you put somebody there to help us, the people. Not to say what Jack Dale and Graham John Bonham. We don't want to hear that, Mr. Sharma. We want to hear what they're going to do for us.
For the people. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, so see, and these is questions that people could pose to me. What is a lot of people don't know what is a constitutional crisis, what happened in a constitutional crisis. People keep asking the question, what is it, what's going to happen, is the end of Guyana, what really going to happen? So things like that persons should ask. But history do repeat itself. That is what I could say to you. And history did repeat itself. There was an election in Guyana. My birthday is March 19th, right? So I remember there was an election in Guyana on March 19th. And that election was in 2001. At that time, it would be President Barry Jagdeo was the president, and he would be participating in the elections as president, as president, and to be reelected as president because Janet Jagan had given him over some time. So his first time he going to be elected president was 2001 election. At that election, the election supposed to be called, I think, was in January, and he postponed the election for 3 months, and he put it on March 19th. Here again, he's saying there should be election on March 19th, right? So he postponed that election from January of 2001 to March 19th. When he postponed the election, who do you think advised him to postpone the election? The Guyana Elections Commission. And he had to consult it with the leader of the opposition. Leader of the opposition was Desmond Hyde. He consulted Rupert Rupnarain and I think the next party leader, TUF Mansour Nadir. He spoke to them and he said, look, let us listen to GCOM, let us allow GCOM the 3 months to do the work. So guess what? Why he wanted it for GCOM to do the work? He wanted a proper list. And guess what? That election, I think, was the largest turnout in terms of voters. It had 91% turnout of voters. And this is what this government is asking for, and this is what he, after 18 years, is denying this government of doing. He said during that period, he said here, I want free, fair, and credible elections. And he wants each and every single eligible voter that is eligible for voting in 2001 election to be able to vote. This is what we're asking him now, 18 years after. This is what he wanted when he was president of the country then in 2001. Here, history repeats himself. 18 years after, he is the leader of the opposition, and he is denying the young people the right to vote.
Sanjay, your view, please.
Yeah.
For the election.
No, well, I think Jaipal had explained it there. Right now we're waiting on the president because to put off the elections, right? We have to have a 2/3 majority in Parliament, and he has to discuss the matter with Mr. Granger, and so we can fix a date for the elections as early in 2019. We don't want this thing to go past 2019.
So what do we need for the president, Granger?
You see, people need to understand why the president of this country, David Arthur Granger, want to speak with the leader of the opposition. Remember the court decision that was made by the acting Chief Justice. When she indicated on her decision, the ruling is that, look, at the night of the 21st of December 2018, basically the cabinet was resigned when the vote of no confidence was passed. Well, you know my position. There's a vote of confidence. Jagdeo saying the president should read the Constitution. We should not speak to him. Well, he should have read the Constitution. He would have read that the Constitution never say about a no confidence, speak about the vote of confidence. So, look, I don't have any attorney to back me. Maybe Duke Pollard or somebody may want to back me up. But here, this is important. It's important why the president would want to speak with the leader of the opposition. Is an issue like the chicken and egg story. So since the learned Chief Justice acting say there's no cabinet after no confidence was passed on the night of the 21st of December, there's no cabinet. Now, the Elections Commission needs money for election. The Election Commission was legally given money for house-to-house registration.
Yes.
They don't have money for election. The laws of this country says that any agency, a ministry or a constitutional agency, can only spend that in accordance with what was approved by the National Assembly. It will be illegal. Somebody can get locked up if you spend money in the way that it was not provided for. So here, this former President Jagdeo and leader of the opposition is spreading false rumors and belief that GCOM have the authority to spend this money because they are a constitutional agency. Let me explain to you. Constitutional agency could vary how they spend the money. Okay, for example, we give them money for house-to-house registration. They said they want $3 billion, $3.4 billion. If it happens that they do the house-to-house and the cost is now $3.6 billion, they don't need to come back to the Ministry of Finance. They could find the money and put in the next $200 million. That is what it speaks about variant. If they told me when they presented the budget to the Parliament and they said, you know, I wanted $1 million for electricity, or I wanted $2 million for meals, and they happen to spend $6 million for meals, they don't have to come back to the Ministry of Finance for the approval. They could shift around the money. But they cannot shift monies for house to house and put it into a general regional election. That was not the purpose it was intended for. So now the Constitution itself say Article 171. Article 171 say no one could go to the National Assembly and put a bill for any financial matters without the consent or the agreement of cabinet. So if there is no cabinet because of the Chief Justice ruling, then how can you go to the National Assembly to give GCOM the money? So that is the reason why GCOM is saying, remember GCOM is being chaired by a former justice. This man know the law. He know he will be breaching the constitution of this country. He know he only get money for house to house. So that is what they're going to talk about, house to house. I can't do anything other than house to house.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is the reason why we need to have this dialogue. This is the reason why there's no constitutional crisis, because you know what's a constitutional crisis? There's 3 branches of government. And you know the 3 branches of government. There's the executive, there's the legislative, and there's the judiciary. When the 3 does not agree, then there's a constitutional crisis. The opposition is not part of this. So he don't cause the constitutional crisis. It's when the court don't agree with the executive, or the legislature don't agree with the executive. Then that difference is a constitutional crisis. Now here, we, the executive, is going to the court, and we saying there could be a constitutional crisis, but you could solve it. Put a stay in the Chief Justice ruling. Let the government continue as it is, meaning the status quo ante must remain in place. It means that if now the Court of Appeal say the status quo ante remains in place, it means now the cabinet could officially sit and bring a financial bill to the National Assembly. The monies could be given to GCOM for them to legally conduct elections.
Shane, on the score about, look, in 2014 November, President Ramotar decided to suspend the parliament to avoid the no confidence. People need to remember that. He suspended the parliament, which was a highly undemocratic.
No, he didn't. This is it's a belief.
Let me finish.
No, it's a belief.
Hold on. Against him, he created at that time a crisis. Because if you suspend the parliament and then you prorogue the House, then you're not allowing the democratic institution, which is the highest institution in the country, the parliament, to function.
That's not a crisis.
Okay. Now, in that experience, the former president, or the President Ramotar, wasn't running for no confidence. He knew a no confidence could not bring him down. He knew only a vote of confidence could bring him down. So he didn't run in from that, right? And he would have not Ramotar would have not to bring a vote of confidence. You know why? Because he didn't have the 33, he had 32.
He would have lost.
So he would have lost it.
Yes.
So he couldn't bring it. He wasn't running from no confidence. What he was running from is that if he brought the budget, it would not have passed. That is what he was running from. And when the budget is not passed, then the opposition have the power, the assembly, the members of parliament have the power to say, I have no confidence in you.
Yeah, but Jaipal...
And so he was running from his budget not being
The
passed.
fact that he didn't allow the no confidence to be put to the parliament, he avoided it. So it was never put.
No.
The no confidence was never put, Mr. Green.
I think we must be careful not to read into what was Ramotar's intent. I think Jaipal is right. And the issue today ought not to be confused nor masked. We hear a lot of political pundits, some of them who are the epitome of ignorance and foolishness, talking about a political crisis. There are 2 things. GCOM is the authority. This made it very clear. The president's written to say, look, get on with his job. They need the money, they need the time.
Yes.
The point that Jaipal made must not be underplayed, that it is inconsistent with the highest principles of a democratic society. For whatever reason, to go to an election and deny that important category of people, the young people, an opportunity to vote. That is what the House will do. So all those young people who today are qualified to vote and cannot vote if you have an election tomorrow. And I believe that the president and the coalition must make it clear they're not running from election, because that is the perception out there.
Yes.
They're running or they're trying to avoid. What the government is trying to do, the coalition is trying to do, is to ensure that our young people are not denied the right to vote. Those of us who have been in politics since the 50s know how we struggled to get young people to vote.
That's right.
When we had a Waddington Constitution, ordinary people couldn't vote. As a young teenager, we fought against the British so people can vote.
And so I'm going to say to you again, in 2001, when that extension was given to postpone the election from January to March 19th of 2001, the turnout, the voter turnout was in excess of 91%. I think it was 91.7%. I believe it was the highest turnout. Guess what? The PPP won 34 seats in the National Assembly in that election. But guess what too? The opposition, the PNC, also got a larger number of votes also. So this is the importance. The stakes are totally different between a local government election and a general and regional election. And so you have to ensure every single thing is in order. Every single eligible Guyanese are eligible, that are eligible to vote, can and will cast the vote. The election could be challenged. You know, we could spend all this money and then somebody going to say, you deny me from voting. The elections could be challenged.
Caller, hello? Hello? Yes?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling to make a comment on
Yes.
Mr. Green just said.
Oh, please speak a lot louder. I can't hear you so good.
I'm trying to make a comment on what Mr. Green just
Yes, go ahead, please.
He's saying that the young people are going to be disenfranchised if we don't have a house-to-house. But the thing is, I'm a young person. I'm 35. And what I believe happens, because I was a former staff of GCOM who did house-to-house registration. Once a person would have become 14 years, they would have been on the list of electors at GCOM. Not on the list of electors, but in their database. And so what it takes, it's only for those persons, because those persons would have been 14 and they're on the list in GCOM already. They
What
only have to
position-
be moved
what
on to the
position
list
you held
of
at GCOM?
Electors. So it doesn't take a house-to-house registration for that.
Carla, what position you held at GCOM? You said you work at GCOM. What position you held there?
What I did there was a house-to-house registration.
You was a clerk, right?
No, I
Good.
think,
Okay.
she's
Let me explain to you. This was a former staff or something at GCOM, temporary staff, a clerk or something like that. Listen, you're partially correct. When you do registration, you start with 14 years at the qualifying date. When you pull a list for election is different from the National Register registrant. What the PPP policy is forcing us to do is to go to the election with a list that was prepared for a local government election that has a life of the 30th of April of 2019. Now, that list was pulled at a specific time. It took only the age of persons, that young people that would be aged 18 years and older at a certain date. That date was the 30th of October 2018. So anyone that would be being of age from the 1st of November to whenever election can call, the name would not appear on that list. That is where you were wrong. So that is what the CEO, the Chief Election Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, is saying, that we may not have to go to a full-fledged house-to-house. Probably could do a claims and objection exercise, but even that process going to require 148 days.
And in April,
Yes?
I have a question for Jai Paul.
Yes.
Now, Jai Paul, I would like to know after the 19th, what would happen, because you know there are a lot of bottom-house meeting and they're saying this going to happen and that going to happen. So you could please explain it for me, please?
Okay. Well, it's a good question. And that is what is being termed the constitutional crisis. There's four circumstances in which there could be a constitutional crisis throughout the world and where there is a constitution. So the first is that the constitution is deficient in terms that it doesn't give you an answer what to do. So if there's a situation, and it so happened Guyana probably may be categorized in all four of these instances. So here you have a constitution, but the problem that you have and you face, the constitution doesn't have the solution in it. So that's a crisis. The next one is that the constitution do have the solution, but it's an issue of interpretation. So you have to go to the court for interpretation. The third is the Constitution also have a solution, but the political parties do not want to follow it. And the fourth instance is where the institution of the Constitution, that is the branches of the Constitution, fight amongst themselves. That is the three branches. That is the constitutional crisis. And what it simply means is that things going to go slow, but it's not the end of the world.
Colin, hello? Mr. Green, go ahead, please.
I'd like to add to what Jaipal just said. The reality of human behavior of countries and a civilization is that you can't bring things to a stop by a no confidence or a confidence vote. There must be some agency to govern. And the logical thing is that existing government will have to continue in office until all these matters that Jaipal talked about find a resolution. So I don't see that there's a crisis per se. You can't have a state of anarchy. Those who propose in the 18th century a system where everybody can make a decision soon found that anarchy ain't gonna work. You must have a commander-in-chief. If you have a cricket team, you must have a captain who decides who to bat and when to bat. If you don't have that, then there's confusion, there's anarchy, and there's madness.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you the answer is in the Constitution. And the Constitution keep revealing itself. So as things progress, the Constitution reveals. So what the former Prime Minister would indicated there, the Constitution itself, they have an article which speaks about the tenure of the President. I think it's Article 178 of the Constitution. You know what tenure means? The life of the President or the presidency. Now, when is the life of the presidency cut short? According to the Constitution of Guyana, it only cut short, and we don't want that, if the President dies. If the President resigns, and when the President resigns, he resigns to the Speaker of the House. Right? If you find the President somehow incapacitated, gone mad or something like that, very sick, or if he violates the Constitution and you remove him, it never say that a vote of confidence or no confidence is going to move him. It always say there is a president. The article say there shall be a president for Guyana. Nothing could move the president until a next president takes the oath of office. That is it. So I was the president.
On your ear, please go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning,
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Mr. Jag, you have to remember the 2001 election. The Hormone sent a card that they had signed to. The election was supposed to be on the 7th of January 2001. Jag, you did not call the election. People start calling for a caretaker government, and then eventually called it for, I think it was the 28th of March, which is 3 months later almost. And because he did call it for that, people say, okay, don't bother with the caretaker government, the government going to remain in place. Find out that is not true. The election was scheduled by signature for the 7th of January because they had signed to just serve 3 years.
You made that point, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I made that point, Carla. I made that point. And so our next thing about this take care, there's no such thing as a take care of government. There always a president in place. I just indicate you the article in the Constitution that says there is a president in place. Once the president is in place, his ministers is in place. What is not in place is the cabinet is not in place. Okay? So that is the only thing. So they can't go to the National Assembly and pass any laws. So that is the constitutional crisis, that it will have a go slow of things and until things regularize. Now, let me just draw your attention to what will be happening in the Court of Appeal. There will be two matters in the Court of Appeal on the 12th and the 14th of March of 2019. Now, when our Attorney General asked Justice Pishi Prasad to give the conservatory order and the stay, he refused to give it. He said, I don't feel I should give it. Because he said, we, the Court of Appeal judges, going to ensure after the 12th and the 14th of March 2019, we're going to expedite the judgment. It means that he's going to ensure before the 19th, he's going to say, or the collective of the Court of Appeal judges, including the Chancellor acting, they're going to pronounce on the outcome. so it wouldn't have a crisis. They're gonna ensure this crisis never happened. So here again, remember I speak about the fourth crisis, where the arms, the branches of of government will be fighting against each other. Here, there's no fight. And so I believe the Court of Appeal going to find a way out to prevent this crisis by saying maybe they put a stay and the status quo remain. You could go to the National Assembly, let GCOM get their money to do a general regional elections, and then is when, you know, the 3 months could run. So that is the way out. So I believe our court system going to ensure that happens.
Calling you here. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
I'm on your panel.
Yes.
Mr. Minister Jaipal. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
I'm very, very concerned and upset, and I'm afraid also for the
What are you afraid about?
19th.
No.
When it comes,
That's
what
his
is going to
birthday.
happen to us?
That's
This thing
Jaipaul's
is not
birthday.
about pen and paper. This thing is about our lives involved. We don't know what's
People like you, we don't want to call in because nothing will happen. As I just explained to you.
Please let me talk.
Yeah.
I'm scared to death because when Janet won election, I am a victim. I was beaten in the city. I was clothesless when they finished with me. They robbed me, they beat me, they dragged me on the ground, broke my finger, all sort of things. I hope to God that this didn't happen again. Then, and next thing that is tickling me, remember, you all responsible, Minister Jaipal, for people's lives. Not money in pocket, not pen to paper. You're dealing day to day with people's lives, people's livelihood.
We're not killing anybody here.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
this,
I'm finished.
I think you should finish because what you saying, this what you say
Yeah,
here.
yes.
If you don't want it, repeat. Well, then tell the leader of the opposition to go reach with the president.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is it. You experience this, and it's the ball is in the former president court. It's his decision how to kick the ball, and he's saying I'm not going to play a game.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he want. He want anarchy, and I'm saying to you, there is no anarchy come the 19th. There is an issue if it's the 19th, if it's the 20th or the 21st. The thing is the 21st. The crisis is going to happen. Guess what is the 21st? 21st is Pagua. And know what Pagua also signifies? The triumph of good over evil. So I will be out there celebrating Pagua in terms of, and I hope by the 6th of March, I will have a reason to celebrate because the leader of the opposition will meet with the president and let this country go forward.
Call you here on the air, please go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Sharma.
Yes, yes.
These people getting afraid because what Mr. Jagdu is saying. He going around talking all sort of nonsense. How can the 19th be election? Is that a madman? This man is so ugly.
You can't say nobody mad. You can't say nobody
I don't know
mad.
what's wrong with that man.
Okay. You can't say madman. No.
Trying to make problem in the country.
We can't say anybody mad is.
Well, you see, this is what he's using. He said the constitutional deadline is in 19, but we have a list. He's saying we have a list. GCOM have a list that ends on the 30th of April 2019. So he's forcing the president to say the election will have to be before the end of that list. I'm saying to you, we going to now disenfranchise thousands of our young people. I said he took the decision in 2001. 18 years after, he wants to not do it. What was this change? You need to explain.
Call your name. Hello?
Mr. Jaipal.
Yes.
Just please, now, Mr. Jagdeo is not the presidential candidate, and it's so. Mr. Ali is the presidential candidate. Mr.
Who is absent?
Who is absent?
Carla,
Yes.
listen,
No.
Carla,
Just
listen. No, listen before you proceed. Then you're going to proceed. Okay?
Jagdeo
is not the presidential candidate, but he's the leader of the opposition general secretary. The presidential candidate have no power until his name is submitted to GCOM. Then he takes the stage. Okay,
No,
then he take the
it's
stage.
possible.
He cannot take the stage now.
No, yeah, but it isn't possible that seen as the general secretary, out of decency running one hold a public office within the party. You don't believe it would be very, very much respectable for come with the, if not the leader of the government or Mr. Arman or somebody on the same station, just like how they used to come on a Thursday and sit down and have a proper dialogue like two adults, civilized people. That's for going around causing all this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll call you in here. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Jaipal. Good.
Yes.
I'll just like to add something. The Constitution is like the law of Guyana, isn't that so? I'm wrong.
The supreme law.
The supreme law.
In accordance with Article 8 of the Constitution.
Okay, so the persons who write the Constitution have to be brilliant people, and Guyana have to follow that Constitution.
Yes.
In the Constitution, it's stated if a no confidence motion
Never
is
say
passed,
no confidence motion.
or a confidence motion,
Yes, yes.
right? A confidence motion is passed, right?
Yes.
There should be election within 90 days, right? And so
They
the
say
person
if a
who write that
no,
he has
no,
to
no,
know
they
whether
say-
she come has to be
Carla,
ready. Here,
they
I'm just
say-
saying, just in your lamb. I will listen
Listen.
to you, Justin, Mr. Jaipal. Yes, I will listen to you, no problem. So then the person who write that, right? He has to know there's a G come where they will get money, or let someone change the constitution, because suppose the PPP win the election in the next 2 years now, this government who is in opposition go with a confidence motion, and they win it, right? The constitution stated election within 90 days. GCOM will said again they're not ready. So there's a change in the constitution to 4 months, 5 months, 8 months instead of 90 days. If 90 days is too short, change it to a longer time.
Carla, listen, let me explain to you.
Okay.
Good. The Constitution never say no confidence. This is what the Constitution say. Article 106, 6 would have indicated, which was an amendment to the Constitution. They say if the government is defeated by a vote of confidence, not if a vote of confidence passed. So right away, what happened there was a no confidence pass, right? So right away you see the distinction. Guess who signed that amendment into law? Jack Deal.
Well, if someone should have changed
All
it,
right.
then don't wait
No,
for
don't have to change
corruption
it.
to happen, and then now you're
No,
going
no.
to change something.
You see, good. You see, that is why I don't like this back and forth. So take the caller off so I could explain. I tried to explain to you when you interrupted me. So the Constitution is clear. Jack Deal himself signed it. He is the president. He signed it, and he understood what it meant. Okay? The government brings a vote of confidence to check the strength. Means if a member on their side vote them down and join with the opposition, then of course I say to you today, if that had happened, I would have resigned. But I will never resign, and I will never support the action of the opposition because a vote of confidence did not occur. We did not bring a vote of confidence. The opposition brought a no confidence motion, which is a censure motion. It's a motion which is going to tell me, as a government, I should beware, I should be careful. I'm not as popular as I believe I am. So what would the government do in case of Guyana? You see, people mistakenly Guyana and say in the islands, or maybe in the UK, there is a no confidence, and the prime minister have to demit her seat, or the cabinet change. So the no confidence, basically in the UK, removes the cabinet. It don't remove the queen. In Guyana scenario, the president is like the queen. Okay, it don't remove the queen. It removed the cabinet. So what could have happened? Easily, what could have happened here? If this would have gone the way it could have go, the no confidence came on us. You have a no confidence not in the president, in the cabinet, the prime minister, and the ministers. The president could bring a next cabinet, so you don't have a no confidence in this cabinet, right? So you have to understand who brought this amendment. It was Dr. No, it was Dr. Rupert Rupnarain who asked for this amendment to go into the Constitution.
Why? Why did he do that?
Because he wanted the opposition to remove a minister and to remove a cabinet. Right? He wanted that. He wanted to work like how the British system worked. But then the persons that were sitting then in those days, that is in 1999, they realized here, we don't want no opposition to remove us, so we can put a vote of confidence. Right? So they changed it up. They changed up Dr. Rupert thing and they put vote of confidence, where they, the PPP, because they believed they would never come out of office, would bring the vote of confidence in themselves, knowing that they would have the numbers. But in Ramatar case, he didn't have the number. He had 32 and we together had 33. He could not bring a vote of confidence in himself. He would have lost it.
But
and
you
so
said,
he was running
you
from...
Had said,
he was
like
running
Paul,
from,
you had said on the program.
Yeah.
You had said on the program, I remember you saying that Nandalal was the one who advised him not to proceed with it.
Yes. Nandalal was faced with the same 34 argument. That argument was given to Nandalal.
Right.
Good.
And what did he say? So you're saying that it had to be 34 rather than 33?
Here, a lot of people say Nandalal then, wanted a chance. He would say, here, you go. He did. Nandalal didn't know who was going to be the next presidential candidate at the time. Right? So he would have given poor advice and say, here, I think you should prorogue your parliament and dissolve the parliament and head the election.
So you have an election so he can become a candidate.
Yeah, he always want to come closer. And yet he missed it again.
He was treated badly. He was treated badly by
he always missed the bus. He always missed the bus.
But why?
Let me reply to the lady in simple, logical layman terms. You have a vehicle, it's licensed, you have a driver, you have a road, but there's no gas. I put that in simplistic terms in her understanding of the constitutional situation, which Jaipal explained. You have certain things in place. Unless you have the finishing product, you can't move. And I give that analogy.
You have to get the money to move.
Well, I use a simple analogy.
Parliament has to meet to move that.
You got the gas.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
We don't go for worry. We want peace. Right?
So I'm asking the viewers, the listeners, call in, ask me the question. If you believe I'm wrong, say I'm wrong. So I'm going to now advance my argument.
Call it. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Sharma. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I
sound very brave. You sound brave. Yes.
Okay. The confidence motion passed in December.
Yes.
No confidence motion passed. You see?
Is one program over and over with no confidence. Let's forget about the confidence motion and who to be blamed and who not to be blamed. If it's Bharat or David Granger or whosoever, let's go back to the poll and then we will see what will happen.
Secondly, we will go to the polls, but not yet.
Secondly,
we will go to the polls, but not yet.
I see that the Minister of Home Affairs, I think he looking over on the disability people them to give driver's license. I don't think that is a wise idea because those people cannot hear. I'm not criticizing the people because they are human beings too. But again, they cannot hear. Whether if you change the number plate of the vehicle, sometimes something might knock on the vehicle, they cannot hear it. Sometimes someone might shout to them, they cannot hear. And one more thing, Mr. Jaipal, I think you should form your own party because the PPP is going to win the next election.
Thank you very
much. Here I notice here, and as I read and listen to news, that the opposition news media, they are now saying vote of confidence. The government was defeated in a vote of confidence. Now they want to switch because they know people may, people have a very sharp memory, selective memory. People can now read it when they're reading it now that it was a vote of confidence and not a no confidence. So they're actually writing it in and reading it out and say it was a vote of confidence because they realize this argument is catching on. And so the caller mentioned the 3 months. The Constitution itself says further in 106.7, you say any such longer period.
Yes.
Right? So any such longer period, didn't say 3 months is the date. And the next confusing thing, which the Attorney General, I must give him credit, picked up on, is that in 106 itself, say, if the government is defeated by a vote of confidence, meaning they defeat themselves, they shall hold election within 3 months.
3 months.
Now, the government don't hold elections. Guyana elections, the commission holds elections. So, you know, when they were doing the constitutional reform, they weren't looking at.
There was an error.
They were not looking at it, and because previously, in the previous constitution, they had the elections, Guyana Elections Commission, but that body, that office used to be controlled by the Minister of Home Affairs. So yes, they could have controlled things. I think you were there. So now they're independent body. So when the article says the government shall hold elections, we don't hold elections. The president, all the president does is indicate a date, but the president don't indicate the date without consultation with GCOM, because they must be ready. An election must always be free, fair, and credible.
Jane.
Yes.
Could I answer that fellow?
Yes.
In this way?
Yes.
This government was democratically elected to run for a period of 5 years, so the elections are due in May 2020 or sometime around there.
No,
or
that's
August.
In May. That's
or
in
August.
May.
Sometime around there, August or whatever.
Here,
let me speak that.
Let me just correct you, because you see, when you speak these things, you speak incorrect things. That incorrect information.
What is incorrect?
Goes out there.
What is incorrect? I said around that period.
Now you know how the election date is formed?
2020.
The elections is the elections for the member of the National Assembly, including the president.
Paul,
so
could I speak?
Listen, let me explain to the viewers and listeners. The elections date is 5 years from the date we sit in the National Assembly.
Isn't that what I just said?
No, you said
I said 2020, 5 years. 5 years. Isn't the term of office is 5 years? Answer that, yes or no?
Did we take our seat in the National Assembly?
No. I'm asking you, the terms of office, is it 4 or 5 years?
It's 5 years.
Good, that's all I'm saying.
But you don't know
but who sets the date? The president.
You're not getting my point.
What is your point?
My point is the 5 years don't count from the date the president take the oath of office. It counts from the date the members in National Assembly sits in National Assembly. So if you sit 3 months...
What am I confusing the viewers about? What am I?
All right,
I am saying that the terms...
Apparently you don't realize you confused.
I am saying that the terms of reference... I'm saying the terms of election is 5 years.
Hello?
And you're trying to confuse. I'm confused him, I don't confuse him.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon, yes.
I have a question for Mr.
Yes.
The Jaipur.
Yes.
After you feel all the young people go back here in Parliament for the last election, if you say you go win them back.
What?
Yeah, I think you'll win them back. Okay. But also the list is bloated as well, you know, they need to take off some names.
Well,
for people who are not resident in the
that National Register of Registrants, that column that says she was a clerk in the house registration, something like that. That National Register of Registrants, an extraction of that gives you a voters list. Guess how much you think you have on that voters list? 660,000. And a population of Guyana that is 748,000. You get 660,000 eligible people to vote. So something definitely wrong.
Is it raised on your body, please?
Well, I'm saying we raised this issue before. The figure suggests some difficulty. As Jai Paul just said, you can't have a population of 750,000 and a voting population of 600-something thousand. Okay. The balance seems quite inappropriate and unacceptable, and something has to be wrong.
We have 5 minutes more to go. 5 minutes more, right? Please. Call ahead. I need hello. Hello?
Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
You know, listening to our program, the merits of your program have lost.
Okay.
Listening to Jaipal Sharma, he's been paid by our tax dollars. He should get out there and find work to do than being on your program there talking instead of bundle of shit.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you know, this is what you have to accept from the members of the public. So, he's not contributing to that.
Good afternoon, yes.
This question for Minister Jaipal.
Yes.
Mr. Jaipal, you having the DPI, Mr. Sheriff, on the air so frequent, giving you about all of these projects. Is he qualified to say that? That's your question.
Who's that? No, who's that? DPI?
The DPI.
Yeah.
He gives out a whole host of information.
On what?
And some of this information are just part-up information.
On what? Information on what?
What happened in Guyana in terms of infrastructure and a whole lot of things.
No. That is absolutely correct.
That's correct.
Thank you, Carla. Carla, I'm going to tell you this. The DPI is have to check and double check every single thing that they put out. The problem is that when they do put out these things, you can't believe that this government do all this work, so you believe it's lie. What? I'm going to tell you this. The DPI, I tell you, Mr. Khan, he have his staff, kettle and trim that everything that he put out must be checked and double checked. He don't put out wrong information. So if he say to you that this government is in the process of doing 100 roads in a particular region, or we did 400 roads during our time in 3.5 years in government, that is absolutely correct.
Got it, hello? Hello?
Yes, you would check with Ministry of Finance. We have to finance the project.
Hello?
You tell me which one of them was incorrect.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Sharma,
Yes.
Mr. Jaipal.
Yes.
Question to Mr. Jaipal. In our constitution, if we have a rogue government, what are there in the provisions that the government would bring a confidence motion? What is it in the constitution that the opposition could hold this government accountable? Is there any provision in there? And second question, concerning the youth that everybody's saying will be disenfranchised. Is it not true that at any given time you will have a certain amount of youth that doesn't qualify to be on the list of electors? You will have that. At no time you will have all the youths in Guyana, some who are 18 are ineligible because of the cutoff point. You will have that.
Okay.
Right, Mr. Jaipal?
Thank you very much.
Carla, I'm trying to listen to you because, I listened to you before you say you were independent. But I don't know. If you want to look at independent, you look at me. Because I don't speak like anybody else. I speak the truth. So I'm an independent. So answer you, the Constitution, yes. If there's a rogue, you put this as a government. It's not a rogue government. It's a rogue president. So the Constitution says you remove the president. You remove the president if he involve in misconduct or he breach the Constitution. You could impeach the president. Once you impeach the president, well then the prime minister shall go up. There's a situation saying that people saying how the chancellor could take over. The chancellor cannot take over. The chancellor take over in a situation if there is no president, the president dies, the prime minister is sick or he dies. In that case, if there's a cabinet, then a minister of the cabinet shall sit as the president if the cabinet member elect him as the president. Now, if there's no cabinet, no president, no prime minister, then the chancellor sits.
Okay.
So, yes, the Constitution is clear. And in every list, there may be persons that will not make it on the list. But you can't have elections that the qualifying date to go on the list was October, and then 6 and 7 months pass, and you're saying the people must not be registered to go on the list or be incorporated in the list by pulling a fresh list for the elections. So yes, there is, but I'm saying to you, the degree of young people that are going to be disenfranchised is not something I'm as a member of parliament and as a minister of government and a representative of this party is willing to go with. I say to you, Jack Dio did not do that in 2001, and he postponed the elections to 3 months, from January of 2001 to March 19 of 2001. History repeats itself. Now he's calling for election of March 19, but then he still wanted to disenfranchise the people 18 years after. He's apparently, I don't know, because now he don't have hair in the head, he's thinking differently. I don't know.
Mr. Green, what is your closing remarks, please? Mr. Green.
Sorry?
Mr. Green.
Former
Minister.
Closing remarks. I just wish people to be calm, not to be misled by this hype about March. March has a significance in history. The Eyes of March. That's when Caesar didn't listen to the soothsayers.
Yeah.
we have gone past that period and that it will be business as usual. When the sun rises on the 19th of March and the sun sets, hopefully we'll all be alive, kicking, and playing our part to make Guyana a great place. And I want to remind people, Sunday, Congress Place, Ghana Day at midday.
Rami, your closing remarks, please.
Yes, Ian, people are confused because, and I hear the confusion outside there, a lot of confusion. And I agree with Mr. Green. The government officials need to be able to go out there and explain to people. They have all the facilities there, the state media that gets to every corner of this country and abroad. And they need to go out there and speak out, explain what is going on so that people can understand. Because they need to demystify the nonsense that Jagdeo keep peddling every single day. We need to do that. Because if we don't do that, Mr. Sharma, we're abrogating our responsibility as a government to be able to explain to people, as Jaipal has come here and explain to people in whatever way he can, the other people need to do that. And one last thing. Yes, people need to go to Sapphire to listen to that program, what they're having on Sunday, but we need to use Coffee Square every single Sunday, that ministers take a turn and they come there and they make themselves available to hear people's problem and to deal with it.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
People like you, Mr. Sharma, should go there with your camera and then bring clippings of that here so we can have discussions on the actual problem that people got and what proposal we are making to solve.
Please.
Yeah, seeing people have to be patient and not to jump to conclusions. There's supposed to be a meeting between the president and the opposition leader on the 6th. Let us see what, even though Jagdeo said he's not going, we still wait to see what he will do, actually do, because, and then too, he has to be careful what he's saying, because the ERC, as was explained earlier, they have powers to, if you are inciting any discrimination of any sort, whether race or religion, they can suspend the party from taking part in the election. So you might have an election without the PPP.
Minister, your closing remarks.
It's always a pleasure to be in the program and to address questions and educate the populace, the viewing and listen populace. I think I did a lot in terms to this issue about what the constitutional crisis is about and what would happen, and if there's a drop-dead date, and if there's the end of Guyana as it is, and if chaos and lawlessness will prevail. None of that will happen. And so, as I said, the ball is now in a branch of government, arm of government, and they will do their best to ensure that we don't end up in a state of this crisis. And then, of course, whatever they rule, there is the Caribbean Court of Justice where we shall go. And if we win at this level, who do you think will be going to the CCJ? Yes, Dr. Jagdeo. So we open to that if we win at this stage and Dr. Jagdeo go to the CCJ. We open to that. So I'm happy to be in the program and to continue to to educate the people about anything that they want to know about the government, about the Constitution, and any issues that they may have. They could call me or come to my office. And I know when I speak the truth, a lot of people are going to call and curse and behave indecently. But as a caller say, as a politician, you have to have thick skin.
Mr. Thank you for coming. Mr. Thank you for coming. Rama, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice God bless you. God bless you.
Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one earth and sky and sun. Remember, friends, the world is one. We want all enmity to cease, for we want peace, we all want peace. We want no hate, we want no strife, since we were born for love and life. Come, let us chant while joining hands. We shall not rest till wars are done. Remember, friends, the world is one. Although we hail from different lands, we share one.